I just tore up $1 million check. Because that's what choosing the wrong neighborhood in LA can cost you. With over 88 neighborhoods and a median home price over $850,000, LA is one of the easiest places to make $1 million mistake. So that's why I've broken down the 7 neighborhoods that offer the best mix of value, location, lifestyle, right here in 2025. So whether you're a young professional or you're a growing family like ours, or you just want to live near the beach without breaking the bank, this video has you completely covered. So stick around to see my #1 pick, which is just my suggestion, a place that a lot of people tend to overlook, but a lot of locals are quietly moving in that direction, and so that we can make sure that you don't overpay, or worse, end up in an area that doesn't fit you or your lifestyle. Let's get into it. Okay, but before we can dive into the best neighborhoods that you should move into, let's just take a step back and zoom out to take a quick look at what's actually happening in the LA real estate market right now. According to the latest data from April 2025, the median home price in LA County has hit an astronomical $850,000. That's up nearly 3% from last year, which shows that the market is growing despite what's happening with the national economy. But here's where things get interesting though. The average rent across LA is about $2,300 per month. And that number is kind of meaningless if we're being honest, because it just hides how wildly prices can vary from neighborhood to neighborhood. When you start house hunting in LA, you'll also quickly see that the prices can really vary by as much as 300% for basically the same type of home. And I'm not really exaggerating, by the way, because you could find a nice 3-bedroom house, for example, for $900,000 in one area. And if you literally drive just 15 minutes in either direction, you can see a property of almost identical size listed for upwards of $2 million. Fittingly, LA really is that dramatic. But you'll see people focus on the wrong figures. Like, a lot of people will obsess over median prices, which is helpful to consider, but it's really not everything. What really matters is understanding the nuances of each neighborhood and what makes one property fly off the shelf in one weekend versus another one sitting on the market for a couple weeks. Really what you want to do is try to maximize the lifestyle, the size, the neighborhood, all for your maximum budget. For example, think about it this way: your proximity to work, the quality of the local schools, how walkable an area is, whether the neighborhood has all the things that you care about, and your happiness, and really what is the difference between one person loving where they live versus someone else dreading where they live. And of course, this is all going to be impacted by your purchase price, but these are the things that you want to think about and consider when you're going through this process. But right now, let's go ahead and explore the 7 different neighborhoods that will deliver the best lifestyle to value ratio in Los Angeles, starting with the Creative Hub that's been turning heads for almost a decade for all the right reasons. So if I were a young professional or a creative looking for a vibrant neighborhood with all types of character or walkability, Silver Lake would easily be one of my first choices, especially for everything that's going on there. Over the years has transformed from an up-and-coming area to a full-blown creative hub. And really, at its heart is the iconic reservoir that gives residents both a great recreation space and some stunning hillside views of downtown. Additionally, the architecture itself really does tell a story here, because you will totally find an eclectic mix of all different types of property types and different levels of being renovated, from bungalows to new construction that have been thoughtfully designed. It's really kind of like walking through one of LA's most evolved design evolutions over the course of a few blocks, if you think about it that way. The other thing that I think is a really great element of Silver Lake, which was part of the reason why my clients decided to move there recently, is because the neighborhood just buzzes with a unique energy. And especially with them coming from New York, Silver Lake was one of those pockets that had some of those resemblances, especially with the walkability of Sunset Boulevard, Silver Lake Boulevard. You'll see the independent bookstores, the vintage shops, of course, the innovative restaurants. Nothing about it feels manufactured because it's authentic. And of course, another thing that we mentioned is that the walkability is a huge element of what makes Silver Lake what it is. You can really park your car for a couple of days and not really need it, especially depending on your work situation. And trust me, for LA, that is a very unique feature. And yes, the hills in this pocket can definitely turn a normal walk into somewhat of a workout, but honestly, it's kind of what adds to the unique character and flavor of of the Silver Lake area, which our next neighborhood has some killer views as well, with some of the best value in all of the city. By the way, before we go any further, if you enjoy these videos about real estate and lifestyle in the neighborhoods in LA and Long Beach, go ahead and make sure to subscribe here on our channel. We have a lot more coming and we make videos every week, so we'd love for you to be a part of that journey with us. Okay, so let's get back to talking about U Park, Windsor Hills, Baldwin Hills, and the neighboring Ladera Heights. They are also known by the moniker of the Black Beverly Hills. The long story short of it is that this neighborhood or this community has a very rich history that became prominent in the mid-20th century. That was a byproduct of affluent African-American communities during a time where discriminatory housing practices started to take place. And these Black professionals fled to a community where they could buy homes. And today they have maintained their status as a very culturally rich, upscale community that in a lot of ways flies under the radar for a lot of newcomers to LA. So good information for you guys to know. But the first thing that you'll notice when you visit this pocket is the absolute spectacular views. And it really is incredible, especially depending on where on the hill you're situated. But what's really amazing is the value that you get here. I think that's what oftentimes is understated. Properties here that get these types of views go for anywhere between 1.5 to 2.5 million. Now, if you were to compare this similar view and similar size to another property in another pocket of Los Angeles, you could easily pay almost double the price of it. So it definitely gives you some context, and that definitely shows you that there is an opportunity for some serious bang for your buck. Now, when we're talking about the homes themselves, these are pretty amazing too, because you'll find a nice kind of mix and combination of different types of homes between mid-century, we generous-sized lots, to other architecturally styled homes that have details that resemble what you find in a newer development as well. And then there's also, I think one of the most important things is there's a serious sense of community pride that goes throughout all of these neighborhoods. And you can really see it in just how meticulously the properties are maintained and how active the neighborhood associations are. Especially if you're not from here, it's really important to note the location and its proximity to everything, because the location is really hard to beat. In one sense, you're about 15 minutes from downtown, about 15-20 minutes from the beach, and you had easy access to both the 405, the 10 freeway. This kind of very central position is what makes this neighborhood really convenient and ideal for a lot of people, especially if you have to be in different pockets of LA for whatever reason, especially when there are members of family who are in different parts of the city. The funny thing is, most tourists and even a lot of LA residents had never really heard of these neighborhoods. And that's exactly why they can provide such good value for their location and for their views, because they don't really have the same marketing buzz of the internationally well-known neighborhoods, which LA has a lot of course. We're talking about the Beverly Hills, the Hollywood Hills, and all that good stuff. If these two weren't convenient enough, that being said, if this pocket wasn't as convenient enough, we're gonna go to our next one, which is just as convenient and right adjacent. Okay, so here's the deal. Culver City was once overlooked, but now it's really kind of all the buzz, especially for how it's transformed into a perfect middle ground between affordability and amenities. The area used to be known as something that's more of a place that houses Sony Picture Studios, but it's really evolved over time into one of LA's most balanced and livable urban neighborhoods. The downtown area, for one thing, has completely changed, and all the historic buildings now house an amazing mix of restaurants, boutiques, art galleries, and creative businesses that had really brought this place to life. Culver City really has it all in a lot of ways. It has its own police department, it has its own school district. One of the biggest advantages of Culver City is also how it's easy to move around. The Expo line runs right through the neighborhood, connecting you to downtown LA in about 25 minutes, in Santa Monica in roughly the same time. This type of accessibility is really huge, and what it really means that you can work in downtown while enjoying the beach, while still enjoying everything that Culver City has to offer. Okay, so then on the other hand, the neighborhood has also become a serious tech and media hub. The Culver City expansion, Amazon Studios, and Apple's growing campus have all invested heavily in the area. And this steady flow of companies has really energized the local economy and especially the restaurant scene. Speaking of restaurants, this is the second time I've said this today, but honestly, truly something amazing because the dining options in Culver City can go really toe to toe with any neighborhood in Los Angeles. From the innovative spots in the platform development to the established restaurants along Culver Boulevard. All that being said, if you are interested in living in a community that, it really has it all, centrally located and genuinely has a lot of promise for its future, in addition to its already established current status, Culver City is a neighborhood you should not overlook. Okay, before we go too much further, I gotta take care of the families that are watching. Don't let the Valley jokes fool you because Studio City has some of LA's best schools while still being minutes from Hollywood and everything else that you want to be close to. Studio City sits in this perfect spot at the gateway to the San Fernando Valley, right north of the Hollywood Hills. And this location really gives you the best of both worlds. And you can get all the Valley perks like more space, better value, excellent schools, while still having quick access to Hollywood, downtown, the West Side, and really the city as we know it. Okay, so let's talk about the schools for a minute because they're really the main reason a lot of families move over here. I know that was definitely the case for some of my clients who recently moved there to the Studio City area. Studio City is served by some of LA Unified's highest performing schools, Carpenter Elementary, Walter Reed Middle School, consistently ranking among the district's highest and best rated schools year after year. And if private education is more of your thing too, the area also has really some of the best schools in all of Los Angeles between Campbell Hall, Harvard Westlake. Studio City has this educational quality, you can call it, without the premium coastal price tag. But again, this all depends on what pockets you're looking at and what exactly you're looking for. That really does offer you a balance that's worthy of some consideration. So from a housing perspective, Studio City offers a really solid value compared to similar neighborhoods south of the hills. The median home price right now sits at about $2.1 million with sale prices starting around $1.5 million or so. And I know by no means this is cheap or anything, but you keep in mind that you get significantly more house with better schools in a lot of cases. One of the best things about Studio City is just how super accessible it is to the rest of LA. The Cuenca Pass connects you to Hollywood in about 10 minutes during off-peak hours, which is very important to note. So in my opinion, Studio City is really one of the best choices that you'll find for families who want great schools and more of an urban environment. That being said, it's not precisely coastal living as you can imagine if you look at it on a map. If that's what you want, along with some premium amenities for good measure, our next neighborhood is one of LA's ultimate beach communities. You've definitely heard of Santa Monica because Santa Monica is prime time. It's what we've all heard about in the movies, we've heard about it on TV, and it's for good reason because Santa Monica delivers excellent oceanfront luxury. And although the premium does extend to the price, it is worth it in a lot of ways, depending on what you're looking for from the lifestyle. Santa Monica has consistently held its position in LA's premier beach city category. And that's just because it combines the natural beauty with the urban conveniences and the quality of life in a way that few other neighborhoods really can match. 3.5 miles of coastline create the foundation for the Santa Monica lifestyle, the iconic pier, the expansive beach, the oceanfront walk, the extraordinary just atmosphere right at your doorstep. Now, Santa Monica functions as a complete city within the larger metro area, and the downtown district spans from the pedestrian-friendly 3rd Street Promenade to the high-end boutique along Montana Avenue. And a good thing to know is that Montana Avenue is often considered like a dividing line for what people consider different parts of Santa Monica and how to distinguish between where you're at. The food scene covers everything from casual beachside spots to Michelin-starred restaurants. Transportation has also transformed over the past decade with the Expo line connecting the beach city directly to the downtown Los Angeles rail. And then not to mention there's an extensive bike network with bike lanes and paths that make cycling a great alternative. When you combine all of this with what's already a highly walkable neighborhood, Santa Monica really is one of the few places in Los Angeles where car-free living really actually does work. And then on top of all that, the public amenities stand out really dramatically from other parts of LA neighborhoods. Between the library system, the parks department, the community services there, they really do receive a lot of exceptional funding, which makes them what they are. And then you also see from the weekly farmer markets to the summer concerts at the pier, the city provides the community some programming that really is kind of unique to this pocket, not something that you'll find in many other regions of LA. All in all, the premium pricing really makes Santa Monica inaccessible to a lot of people, and that's just the reality of what it is. For those who want to prioritize beach access, have the comprehensive amenities, and it's really self-contained community feel, it remains in a lot of ways the gold standard of Los Angeles coastal living. The good thing is, if Santa Monica's premium price tag did make you kind of cringe or feel like you're, kind of pushed out, our next area is all about the beach lifestyle, just a lot cheaper. Not only that, South Bay is a lot more than just a beach community. In fact, you have parts of the South Bay that are specifically coastal beach cities, part of it that's considered PV Peninsula, another part that's considered inland South Bay as well. And one thing that ties all these different parts of the South Bay together is that many of them actually have really strong schools. At a high level, for now, you should know that each neighborhood in the South Bay has its own distinct personality, but they do share this deeply rooted culture that in a lot of ways feels a little less LA and more authentic, less touristy than what you'll find from a lot of the other more famous coastal spots in Los Angeles. And one thing that I love about the South Bay is the range of the price points and the lifestyles that you can find in this kind of general region. At the high end, you'll see that Manhattan Beach offers, luxury features with the median prices well over $3 million. Definitely upscale with excellent schools, amazing downtown area by the beach. Just a bit south of that, you'll find Hermosa Beach that has a more youthful energy with its focus on kind of outdoor activities like volleyball, surfing, that kind of lifestyle. Now, here's where the real value starts to emerge. If you look at areas like Redondo Beach, especially in its northern and eastern sections or parts of Torrance near the coast, you can find that properties here will range from the 1.2 to 1.8 million range. And I know that's still a lot of money, of course, but when you compare that to Santa Monica, we're talking less than half the price in this case. And the same thing goes for Malibu too. You get substantially more for your money here. And if you like this idea, just wait till we get to San Pedro, because there's some unique things that are emerging in San Pedro that you'll definitely want to know more about as well. But back to the South Bay, the schools here are another major draw, because especially for the families who are part of the Manhattan Beach Unified or Redondo Beach Unified, Palos Verdes Peninsula Unified, they really do all rank among the top districts in California. And this makes the South Bay particularly attractive if you are prioritizing education, but still want to maintain a proximity to the beach. Now, the recreation options here aren't quite just limited to the water. We do have the Strand, a 22-mile paved path that runs along the coastline from Torrance to Santa Monica. And it's basically a paradise for walking or running or cycling with ocean views the entire way. So it's the outdoors person's ideal case scenario, especially if you love to exercise, stay close to the water. And to me, the South Bay really feels like an old school California beach living lifestyle, something that's kind of been lost in a sense with all the commercialization that's gone around in the coastal areas. So while the South Bay represents these established beach communities, our final neighborhood is completely different, and it is a coastal area that is on the verge of a transformation that really could be the next big opportunity for forward-thinking buyers. So let me tell you about it. San Pedro is on the cusp of a major transformation with nearly a $500 million waterfront project that could completely redefine what so far remains as an overlooked coastal area. San Pedro is positioned at the southern tip of the Los Angeles County, and it's historically been known for mainly its port operations rather than a place to live. But that perception I think is really about to change in a big way, and largely due to the fact that the development of the West Harbor San Pedro public market is coming into fruition right now in real time. I just had some clients that moved over there. A lot of their decision was also influenced by this. The scale of the development that we're seeing is really hard to wrap your mind around, especially because it spans over 42 acres long, covering the channel of the Port of Los Angeles. And they're creating an entirely new district with restaurants, with retail, office, large public areas, even an amphitheater for live events. And once it's completed, it really is going to fundamentally change how that area is going to be experienced by its residents and the people who want to have a true waterfront experience in San Pedro. Now, from a real estate perspective, San Pedro currently has some of the more affordable coastal living options in Los Angeles County. Median home prices here are somewhat or approximately 30% lower than the comparable properties in the South Bay, which is kind of huge because it means that if you can get in on the cheap on what might be one of the neighborhoods that is gonna be appreciating most in the coming years, as the project progresses, it really might be a great opportunity. So the harbor setting creates a distinctive aesthetic and it provides unique recreational opportunities as well. Between the Cabrillo Marina, Cabrillo Beach, the Korean Bell at Friendship Park, in addition to the development that's happening beyond the waterfront project, recent years have shown that there's been an emergence of a growing arts district, new residential projects. So with so many things happening and so much investment flowing into the area, San Pedro really is becoming one of the more promising up and coming neighborhoods for LA and its future. And I note this because this is the question that people ask me all the time, like, where do you think things are trending? Where are things happening? Where's the investment going? And although there's a lot of investment happening in LA, San Pedro, I think, is a unique pocket. And the funny thing is, a lot of LA residents don't really know about this. It's not really on people's radar, which is why you'll probably see a lot of investors that will continue to jump into that region as this awareness grows, which it already has been. A lot of investors have been jumping into the area. So now that we've covered all of our neighborhoods, let's talk about which one I'd personally choose in 2025 based off of the current market and the future conditions of potential. Of course, the perfect LA neighborhood is going to depend on entirely your priorities and what you're looking for, what you're trying to do. So in short, the creative energy of Silver Lake, stunning views and value of View Park, Windsor Hills with Dare Heights, central and accessible living of Culver City, the amazing schools in Studio City, premium beach living Santa Monica, authentic lifestyle in the South Bay for the price point, the future investment potential of San Pedro. These are some of the things that you'll find if you're considering moving to Los Angeles in these pockets. I'd love to know which one best suits you and to help you, so we can help you find the perfect home within the parameters of you and your lifestyle. If that sounds good to you, give us a call at 562-554-7534, or you can email us at tedrosteam@gmail.com. And me and my team, we will put all of our expertise at your disposal. We've helped countless buyers find their dream homes and make sense of it within the context of your lifestyle, your needs, and your situation. Okay, that's a lot of information for this video, but we thank you for being with us on this journey, and we will look forward to seeing you in the next one. Peace.